Good afternoon and welcome to the December 5th, 2022 Board of Works and Public Safety. All rise for Pledge of Allegiance, led by Brian Dobb.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. I'd like to welcome everyone. Make sure you turn your cell phone rings off. We will begin with roll call.
Brian Dobb.
Present.
Becky Gibson.
Present.
Diane Phillips.
Present.
Jim Barrett.
Okay, everyone has the minutes from November 21st, 2022 regular meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those?
Second.
You have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Move on down to new business. We have our public hearing for the City of Connersville Comprehensive Plan. Mike, you want to come up, sir?
Good evening, Board. Mike Kleinpeter, Kleinpeter Consulting Group, Grant Administrator, assisting the city on this project. We were awarded a grant through the Indiana Office of Community and Rural Affairs back in 2021 in the amount of $60,000, and we contributed $7,500 of general funds. The comprehensive planning study has been completed. We got firm Rundle Ernstberger here today to talk to you guys about the results from the plan. So I'll turn it over to them.
Excuse me. Sorry. Drinking the water well.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Handouts here. I apologize in advance for having some printer issues. Some of the, you see some streaks in there. I'm not sure what's going on.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name's Cecil Pinlan. I'm a landscape architect and a partner with Rundle Ernstberger Associates. We were commissioned to lead the comprehensive planning effort for the City of Connersville. And with me today, I have Catherine Kazmierzak, and she's going to be co-presenting on a few of the items in the presentation here today. So just real quick up front, we wanted to give some acknowledgments out to the folks that kind of helped us along the process here. So on page 3 of what I handed out, you're going to see a list of the Comprehensive Planning Committee. These were basically the core folks that we met with throughout this almost year-long process who helped guide and steer the development of the plan. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Catherine and let her talk to you a little bit about the process.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So, just a little bit about the comprehensive plan. As Cecil said, it's been about a year process, but what is a comprehensive plan and how is it used? It's a long-range guide for general policy and pattern development for land use decisions, and per Indiana state law, it must include at a minimum a statement of objectives for future development, a statement of policy for land use development, and a statement of policy for the development of public ways, public lands, and public utilities. It helps guide the direction of community investments, and it provides the basis for zoning and subdivision ordinances. Without a comprehensive plan, you cannot have those regulations. This document will also be used by the Planning Commission, Council, APC, when reviewing zoning or development applications, especially when land use changes are involved or there are redevelopment proposals. Going to slide 6. Why update the plan now? Your current comprehensive plan was done in 2011, and it was a county-wide and city initiative, so there was a lot of land to cover, whereas this one is just primarily focused on the City of Connersville and potential growth area opportunities. A summary of data was completed in 2019 that looked at a bunch of things that were happening recently over the last decade and determined that an update to the comprehensive plan would be necessary. So with applying for the grant, receiving money, now was the perfect time to do it. It's also recommended that comprehensive plans are reviewed and updated every 5 years, so it was time to overhaul and create a new document. Also with this, socioeconomic changes recently to not only the market, but generally speaking, the growth that was experienced in Connersville. There might be a new direction, new leadership, changes that want to be made, or investments that want to be prioritized in different areas across the community. This comprehensive plan will also help manage and prioritize those city investments. So basically, this plan can assist the city to help seek additional grants and funding opportunities for future projects. The process of this plan followed a 4-phase process. Those 4 phases were discovery, visioning, framework, and implementation. During the discovery phase, that's pretty much where Cecil and I learned about the community, collected data, and created a basic analysis that you'll find in the general analysis and then in each of the subsequent subject matter topics and the existing conditions. During this time, we also held numerous focus group meetings, and we did a community outreach initiative for the Celebration in the Ville event. The visioning is where we took all that information, created a vision for the city of Connersville, and vision statements for each of those subject matter topics. Frameworks is where the meat of the plan was really developed. That included the development of the goals, recommendations, projects, and action steps. And the implementation is where we are today. Finalizing everything, doing the adoption at the end of this, hopefully, and getting you a nice document to begin moving forward. So how is this plan organized? If you go to slide 9, we have included what OCRA's requirements are. There are 13 subject matter topics that must be included in these plans, which are 4 through 16 in that list. And additional content that was added for this plan that wasn't necessarily a requirement for OCRA, but we thought would be helpful for you guys moving forward, was creating the overall vision for the city of Connersville, identifying the priority projects, which is just a top 10 list that Cecil will review, and creating an implementation matrix that helps outline costs of projects, each of those steps, and who may be helpful in implementing those. With that, I'll set it back off to Cecil. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Slide 10. What you can expect to see for chapters 4 through 16, those subject matter topics, each of those chapters is organized the same, so it can get kind of repetitive. But you will see existing conditions, a vision pertaining to that subject matter topic, along with goals and objectives that pertain to that topic, a little bit about how to implement and why those goals were important, and then associated projects and those action steps that can be found to help achieve the vision. So now with that, I will pass it back to Cecil to go over the vision statement and more details about the rest of the content.
Yeah, so as Catherine mentioned, one thing we like to do is we like to create vision statements for each of the subject matter within the report, but then we also like to create one for the community and the plan in general. And we do that because throughout the course of our public input, meeting with various stakeholders, we start to hear some common themes. And some of the common themes we heard in Connersville were, well, we want to keep our youth. We don't want our youth to move away. Right after they graduate, we want to keep them here. We heard that, we want to promote the assets that we already have, our history and our culture and our parks and the other things that we're really proud of. And we want to build on our pride because there is some apathy within the community, and we want to find a way to reverse that and improve the outlook on the community. So with that, we prepared a vision statement for the overall plan that I'm going to read to you now. And it basically states, and I apologize, this is on page 12, I know we haven't been doing too good at calling out the page numbers, but the city of Connersville is a community teeming with pride and ambition that is focused on providing a quality of place for all residents and businesses. Connersville is a community of many different people and ways of life where all live, work, learn, grow, and age together. The community is centered around strengthening neighborhoods, attracting, training, and retaining local talent and workforce, and promoting local businesses and industries, and building upon the local character and quality of life that Connersville has to offer. Now again, we may not be doing all of these things right now. We may be doing some of them and not all of them. This is an aspirational thing. This whole plan is an aspirational vision of where we want to be in the next 10, 20 years. So, going to the next page, 13, as you review this plan and get a copy of it, you're going to see there's a lot of goals and projects. In total, there's 139. And there's 64 goals and 75 projects specifically. I'm going to go through a few of those as we discuss here in the next few minutes. But what's important to know is those projects, those goals and objectives, some are what we call low-hanging fruit, which means they're very easy to achieve and very relatively, well, time is money, so everything has cost with it because everything takes time. But in terms of financial outlay, some of these projects have very low financial outlay, and then on the other end, some of them have a much higher and significant cost. So looking at page 15, what we've done is we've organized this project into an implementation chapter. And when we met with the APC, we got some comments that there's a lot of information to digest in this plan, and there is. It's nearly 300 pages long. So I would suggest that everybody, please, if you haven't already, at least make sure you read the executive summary and the implementation chapter. There's a ton of information in all the content chapters that you'll find interesting and beneficial, but those two areas are probably the most critical in terms of understanding what this plan is about and what we're trying to accomplish. But in the implementation chapter, there's a little bit of information about interpretation, zoning and development review, monitoring and updates. So I'm going to just explain what that means a little bit. Interpretation means how you interpret the plan. This comprehensive plan is a guide. Not everything is going to happen, maybe ever. But it's a general guide for how the community would like to develop. The intent is that this is kind of the voice of the community based on the input that has been put into it. And so we also understand that priorities may change. You may have opportunities arise in the future that you don't currently have, and so that may change a priority in this plan, or it may bring a new priority to the plan that didn't exist before. So we want to make sure that everybody understands that this is open to interpretation. It is a general goal for how the community should develop and what should guide its development, but it is not hard and fast, and it is not inflexible, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It should guide zoning and development review, which basically means when you receive applications for new development, you should reference the plan in terms of land use. So you want to make sure that a land use that is coming to the community is appropriate for the area that it's being proposed, and this plan has some information about where appropriate land uses might be for various things. Monitoring and updates. This plan, one of the projects in here is to review the plan every year. There's a lot of information in here, and again, things are going to change. We want to make sure that this is a living document. That's the way these things are intended to work. So you can look at them on an annual basis, review them. Again, priorities are going to change, things are going to change. Fiscal considerations. This plan may guide how money is budgeted for the community based on your priorities. So if you determine something is a higher priority than another, you may want to use this plan in terms of outlaying budget for the next fiscal year. There are priority projects in here, which we're going to talk a little bit more. And then within the implementation chapter is this implementation matrix, which is basically a table of all the projects in this plan. And basically we've listed the projects, and we've listed some action steps for accomplishing those projects. And then what we've tried to do is say, well, this is a program, a policy, or it might be a physical construction project, we're trying to outline the timeline, which means it could be short-term, mid-term, long-term, and those are ranges, each of those. So short-term 0 to 2, mid is 3 to 5, and long is longer than 5 years, I believe. We have cost. Some of these, again, other than time, don't have a lot of cost. But then we have cost ranges, and those are shown by dollar signs. So $1 sign, just like when you look at a restaurant, you see $1 sign or $3 signs. Each dollar sign indicates a range. So a single dollar sign is low cost, a $2 sign is a mid-range cost, and $3 signs is a high cost. And there's some actual numbers associated with that. And then we have responsible parties. Every one of these projects is going to have to be a partnership, most likely with more than one individual or entity. And so we've tried to outline who might be the most appropriate folks to help move these projects forward. So the next thing I wanted to talk about just briefly was the role of the city council. We did this with the Area Plan Commission, but what is the relationship between the city council and the comp plan? Well, basically the city council and the APC, you guys are the entities who are responsible for implementing the comprehensive plan over time. It should serve as a guide, again, for land use and development. You should consider this document when thinking about land use rezonings. You should think about this when considering budget for the next fiscal year. And again, this is meant to be flexible. So you may move forward with a project even if it's not listed in this plan. Just because it's not in this plan doesn't mean you can't do the project. And you also may decide that there's a project in this plan that you don't agree with, or that maybe doesn't work because something has changed within the community, and that's okay. So moving on to slide 17, I wanted to take just a brief moment and talk about some of the top priority projects that were outlined. Again, there's a lot of projects in here. These were the top 10 that we heard over and over again within the community that these things are really important. So one is to review, amend, and update the zoning and subdivision ordinances. So there is some language in your current zoning and subdivision ordinance that isn't current with state law. Some things have changed, some case law has changed, so there's some things in there that aren't exactly current. So it's important to get those things updated. And I should say that's not uncommon. That's common for communities across the entire state of Indiana. There are some things that have happened within the community that require some changes. So one of those things is we've had some sites that have been old homes that have been torn down, and now you have vacant properties, but those properties are technically too small to be redeveloped per your current zoning code. So we're trying to think of, well, how can we reuse those properties? Some of them may be appropriate for new development. So you need to look at kind of the minimum spatial requirements in your zoning code to make sure that those properties that may be good candidates for infill or new construction can be used for that. There's also some things in there that you don't currently have. Like we talked a lot about protection of one of our major assets within this community is fresh water. So, and we know that we sit on an abundant aquifer, but there's not a lot of protection in the current zoning code for that aquifer. So we want to make sure that, going forward, we may want to adopt some overlay districts if you're in key zones. We just want to make sure that we're protecting all the natural resources that we have. Those are just 3 examples, and there are many more that I could give you. The second project is to create and maintain a 5-year capital improvements plan. This is like a 5-year budget, basically, for the city to say, these are the priorities that we have for the next 5 years, and this is how we're going to get there. This is how we're going to implement funding for those items. I know there's already budgeting occurring. This is just it's like the business plan for the city, essentially. Develop new and amend current TIF districts. So again, this was a reoccurring theme. A lot of these projects cost money, and in order to make Connersville the community we aspire for it to be, in order for it to compete with other communities across the state, there are improvements that you guys would like to make. So how do we generate more revenue? One potential option is to expand or look at new TIF districts. Is everybody familiar with TIF districts and how they work? Okay.
We're establishing one right now.
Okay, awesome. Hire some additional staff. So we know that there's a lot of folks that are stretched thin everywhere. But within this community, there is not currently a dedicated city engineer. marketing communications coordinator, building inspector, and there's limited code enforcement right now. So one thing that we're suggesting is you may want to consider a city engineer. Some of these things could be partnerships with the county, and that's been a suggestion that's been made as well, and you'll see that in this plan. But a city engineer could take on some of the responsibilities that currently you outsource to a private engineering firm. That would also allow you to budget for some of the other priority projects that you have coming onto the books, and also provide an individual that can kind of oversee some of those priority projects. Building inspection, that is something that falls currently on the planning director, and there's several responsibilities that currently fall on there, but that's, again, he's responsible for a lot of things that are at the county level and the city level, so having somebody that is dedicated, their position is to do that, will assist in code compliance, making sure that things are getting built to a specific standard that you want to make sure they're built to. And then marketing communications director. One thing we heard over and over again is there's a number of agencies, philanthropic institutions in this community who are doing a lot of wonderful things, but they're not communicating with each other. So one thing we hear a lot is, well, so-and-so is doing this, but they just happen to be doing it on the same day and at the same time as this other agency. This is an effort to try to pool our resources to hire an individual whose position is basically responsible for coordinating the efforts of folks, making sure everybody's well informed of what each other's doing, and to promote what is really great about the city. Develop a current IDNR 5-year Parks and Rec plan. This is something that, if done, makes you eligible for some additional funding through the DNR for grant opportunities. Creating an economic development plan. To be honest with you, what we originally had in here was a downtown revitalization plan specifically, and that is another plan that's offered through the Office of Community and Rural Affairs. However, they're on hold. I have been told that they will be coming back, hopefully sometime in 2023. But in the meantime, they have what they call an economic development plan, if this is something that rises higher to your priority. But this would allow for a focused study of your downtown and what we can do to continue to re-energize and revitalize your downtown. Develop a city transportation plan. This is closely linked to the 5-year capital improvement plan, but basically it's identifying roadways, trails, sidewalks, all means of vehicular and pedestrian transportation, and what our priorities are for those. You know, we have key roadways that need improvement, or we may have key roadways that aren't even developed yet. This is how we decide where we want to focus our attention. Conduct an inventory of lots within the community. So I mentioned those lots where properties have been demolished and we have a lot of vacant lots. Currently, we don't have a really good inventory of where all those lots are and how many. So this is a suggestion that we map those so we can determine what the opportunities are for them and the total numbers as well. And then lastly, is just increase our promotion of existing community events and develop events and programming. So we've seen, even since we've been here, there have been additional programs that have come online, and it's really kind of creating a positive energy within the community. We're just saying do more of that. Just keep doing that, because those are things that are really good. If you can draw people into your community for hours on a weekend evening or on a weekday evening, then you start to develop a need for businesses to support those groups of people. So again, programming leads to other benefits. So I know I just threw a lot of information at you guys. But with that, we wanted to open it up for any questions and just say thank you for the opportunity to work with you guys. I guess next steps is what I should probably tell you about real quick. So assuming you like what you see in the plan, what we would like is for the city council to adopt the plan. And if that happens, then what we will do is we'll take the ordinance adopting the plan in combination with the proposed recommendation from the APC. We'll input those into the comp plan, and then we'll finalize the document and deliver hard copies and PDF to you guys. So the PDF of the document will be able to be hosted on the city's website. It's completely interactive, so like if you go to the table of contents and you see a reference, that reference is a hyperlink, and you can just click on that and it takes you right to that content in the plan. So we've tried to make it as user-friendly as possible. So, any questions?
Okay. You guys want to stick around?
Just one last comment from me. The council is going to approve a resolution tonight adopting the plan. That won't be done here today, but this is our second required public hearing we're supposed to do, so this kind of completes the Okra grant. Appreciate the opportunity to work with the city again, and I'll stick around if you need
Yeah, if
anything.
y'all three can you guys stick around for after me?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, thank you
We
very
need a
much.
motion to
Is there
send
anything we need to do with that, Mike?
Nope, I don't need anything done tonight, just wanted to get this done and present it to the public and then pass the resolution on it.
Okay, thank you. I'm down to item B, Rick Free requesting a lien be removed at 527 Reed Street. Never really opened it.
There's nobody here.
Honorable Mayor,
Are you, sir?
all right, members of the Board of Works, my name is Rick Free, this is my stepson Chad Fossbender, and we were requesting that a weed lien that was put on 527 Reed Street on August of 2009, and that's before my wife had bought the property on December the 8th from the U.S. Bank in a foreclosure. And at the time, we was told that it was a clear title. And obviously, it wasn't, because now that Chad has sold the property, and as they did a title search, there was a lien on that property. And we wasn't aware of that. So that's what we're requesting, that the lien be dismissed.
Questions, comments from the board?
I don't have any comment, it's just the fact that whenever you bought the property, was the property mowed and all that, whenever she bought it in 2009?
I don't really remember 2009, but while it was going through foreclosure from a person that didn't pay the loan, then it was a foreclosure, and then it was put up for sale, and we made an offer on it, and they accepted, and
Well, you know, my point is, it costs the city a lot of money to go out here and mow these properties. And I understand what you're saying, I've dealt a little bit with it on a different committee, where people, the liens have not been filed in time, and then the property, you know, if somebody buys it, or whatever, goes to sell it, they do a title research, and find out there's a lien there. And, you know, sometimes it goes back several years. So really, I'm in favor of going ahead and approving to okay his request.
I agree with Jim, I'll second the motion.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you very
sir.
much.
Item C, approval of resolutions 2022-53 through 59 transfers.
Resolution 2022-52 is a resolution to transfer within the airport, moving $2,000 from professional services to insurance. Resolution 2022-53 is a resolution to move $2,100 within the fire budget, moving from computer software to telephone. Resolution 2022-54 is a resolution to transfer $1,000 within the fire department, moving it from longevity to Social Security. I'm sorry, Resolution 2022-53 is a repeat from last meeting. It's not up for approval. Resolution 2022-55 is a resolution to transfer what you have says airport, but it's really fire, moving $1,000 from computer software to retirement and disability. Resolution 2022-56 is a resolution to transfer within City Hall, moving $2,000 from other contractual services to telephone. Resolution 2022-57 is a resolution to transfer within the council budget, moving $1,250 from other contractual services to IT services. Resolution 2022-58 is a resolution to transfer within the Parks Department, moving $150 from field facility concessions to soccer concessions. Resolution 2022-59 is a resolution to transfer within the City Department, moving $100 from water to other contractual services.
Questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, item D, approval of the acquisition of right-of-way from Walmart. Brad, you want to talk about that? Yeah, it's actually Walmart. Tiziano Realty and Conroe Commons and One Conroe LLC. Gotta get them all out.
So, over the last year or two, we've been working to acquire all the easements around the new Walmart. When all that stuff was put in, nobody got easements for us to be able to work on that stuff. Some of the things, in particular the lift station, we thought belonged to us, that was given to us, but when I started going back and researching it, when some of that development started up there, I found out that it had not been. So we've spent considerable time.
It was started, it was just never finished.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there. That was
Yeah.
many years ago.
So we have spent considerable time and money to get in a position where we could acquire these easements. That way, all this new development will be running through lines that belong to us and not just lines that belong to somebody else. So we would be putting new customers on stuff, and if something went wrong with those facilities up there, we wouldn't even have a way to dig it up and look to see what the problems are. So there's been 5 easements in right-of-ways that we've been going after, and one of those we still don't have because they want a big, expensive price on that, so we have other strategies to try to get that one. But these here, we'd like to go ahead and get. One particular reason is the contractor that's up there working on installing the water main, I'd like to have him while he's on site before they start grading, go ahead and tie the old water main and the new water main together. So to do that, we need this easement, one of these easements in particular, so.
Right. Any questions?
Make a motion to approve the easements.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, sir. Item E, approval of resolution 2022-60, investment resolution.
State Board of Accounts requires us to have, no, actually, the banking, where we have our investments, requires us to have resolutions allowing us to invest our money, and this lists out all of the different departments that has investments. So this will carry us for the next 4 years.
Any questions?
Motion to approve the request.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. I don't think I would ask. I spelled this wrong there. I'm over
It's on
there. That's an easy fix. Okay. On down to the next one. We have Brian Byrne requesting permission to use the city lot. Mr. Byrne?
Good afternoon. I just had a request to use the west side of Market Street adjacent from the depot downtown next May, the afternoon of the 10th through the 11th for the Chamber Annual Dinner. Will be done 8 o'clock that evening. It's the first time we're doing it outdoor, which is why it's in May and not February. Changing it up from years past, so just asking for permission to shut down just that. I think there are 9 parking spots there on the west side of Market Street.
What was the dates and times again?
It'd be May 10th in the afternoon after close of business at the courthouse on May 10th through the May 11th. The dinner is actually on May 11th. It's a Thursday evening. Dinner will be at 6 o'clock. We'll set up on Wednesday, have everything torn down. It won't affect the parking lot on Friday morning, so nobody will, if somebody wants to park in those 9 spaces on Friday morning, it won't be affected. The tents will probably still be there, ready to be picked up by the company that day, but they won't be in the way.
Make a motion to approve Brian's request.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Move on down to department matters. Superintendent Wolford.
I'm going to go a little bit out of order here for a second. I had sent you all an email, and this item isn't necessarily for action today, but I'd sent you an email where I've been looking at getting some service, getting a inspection agreement on the new trash trucks. We've talked about all along, once we got that second truck, that we was going to try to get a program where the guys at Best Equipment would be sort of overseeing our maintenance of the vehicles. Well, after getting that quote, it turned out to be a pretty good little amount of money, so I asked Mark Lowe, who is what is your title, Mark?
Director for Product Support.
He works for Best Equipment. He was the guy that provided us the quote, so I asked him to come today and speak to what the inspection. I don't want it to be confused with a warranty service. It's not that necessarily, but it's more of an inspection agreement just to make sure that we're properly maintaining those trucks, and if we expect them to last a long time, we probably need some oversight for our maintenance guys. So if you wouldn't mind sort of explain what this will do and explain the costs and everything for us.
Sure, very good. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Mark Lowe. I'm the Director for Product Support with Best Equipment Company. Just a little bit about my background, and I started off, I'm a mechanical engineer by trade, and I started off with John Deere designing products for the construction and forestry division. And at an early age, I learned quickly about designing products so that they would last well. And part of that is making sure that operators can run them right and people can service them right. And so I have a real passion from roots down of understanding what is required to keep equipment running and to help people get the best return on their investment. That's what I'm looking for always, and I'm very passionate about that. So I joined Best Equipment 4 years ago in January, and I'm helping them out with establishing PM programs for products. And so what we're talking about today is a preventative maintenance program for the 2 Labrie automizers that you had. And it's comprehensive, including the chassis behind it as well. So you've got a chassis that the body is attached to. So that's the what of it is Best Equipment would come out 4 times a year. We always recommend we follow the OEM specifications, and then we also include some of the items that our own technicians find are helpful to keep the equipment maintained. So what we're talking about is 4 times a year coming out and servicing the equipment at your facility and going through both the chassis and the body side, making sure that we address the fluids, lubricants, and do a general inspection. The secret behind preventative maintenance is just that, is we want to stay ahead of large, expensive repairs that not only cost more than they should because they are preventable, but also we prevent the downtime that you experience when equipment goes down. It's not scheduled, okay? The why are preventive maintenance inspections important? Is to keep your equipment running, and you've made a significant investment in your products. One of my toughest challenges is technicians, is finding skilled help that is of the degree that we expect. And so that's my hardest job I face every day. And we at Best Equipment, we're an excellent employer. We're extremely competitive, and we train very well. We invest in our technicians so that they have the OEM training so that they can go out and perform good inspections on equipment. And that way it translates to us finding things and preventing things from going down out in the field here. So you look at PM programs, I always ask people, I say, well, you typically have 3 different types of failures. You have those that are due to operator negligence, those that are due to just mechanical failures. Sometimes these are machines, they do fail. You'll have things that just weren't preventable. And the third bucket is things that damage that occurs because we didn't do a good, thorough PM service on them. And that really becomes your budget money for a PM program. So it happens to everyone. Everyone's in different states of preventative maintenance, depending on what your capacity is at your own shops, whether you have a full, a well-staffed service department with technicians, or some people have none. Some people have got out of the business of trying to hire and retain people with those skill sets because it's just so hard to find and keep. Okay? So that's the why behind it. We want to keep you running. We're going to keep your costs down and give you the best return on your investment. And then the last thing is I want to touch on is when. The best time to do PM service is right at the inception. There's only one time when it's new and that equipment is not going to bear the result of not having grease and excessive wear in that. So start early. Don't wait for the maintenance, the warranty period to expire and think that it's all good until then. It starts from day one from use is when you want to enroll in a PM program. And I'm passionate about PM services. I know what they can do for people. And last thing I'll say is one of our customers, they signed up with us 12 months ago, City of East Chicago. They had really, really struggled with trying to get preventive maintenance done on their vehicles. And we came in and we serviced all of their trucks on their facility, similar to what we do with Connersville. And it's interesting. I've been a part of that, very close to it. It's interesting to see how much better the performance is out of the trucks. When they run better, your operators perform, and they're happier with the outcome. So it's a win-win for them as well. And the trucks are performing better. And they just recently did a video, which we found out about, and they promoted it on their Facebook page. But they're sharing with their community what they're doing on their side to help make sure that the community is actually getting the return on the investment. I thought that was a novel idea, but they really they appreciate it, and they've just sent us the renewal for this coming year as well, and we're going through that at this time. So we got references out there, and we don't take it lightly, the responsibility. We just appreciate the opportunity to service your equipment and be a provider. Are there any questions for me?
On PM service normally on a new truck, where do you usually perform that at generally?
Yep.
I mean, I don't think we'd service it 4 times a year.
Yeah, 4 times a year is actually the optimal time. That means we're out there every 3 months and taking a look at it. And as I said, we're doing the regular services and then looking for other things that might become a contributing problem. So I always start off with the best case. I want to make sure I provide you the best information. And if you say, we need to taper it for budgetary reasons, I will help you do that. But we're going to have to remove some things. So we could push that out further if you like and do it as a 3 times a year. But I always start off with what the OEM recommendation is.
Parts included on the PM service?
Yes, it's fully comprehensive. We use all OEM parts, lubricants. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we had a service agreement with you, we would not be charged for parts. That's included in the
That's
service.
correct, yeah. And I think in this, we talked about using the lubricants on site here too. Yeah.
Myself personally, I think it's a good idea.
I mean,
I've been around preventive maintenance all my life. Spent 4 years in the Army doing it,
Yeah.
and then worked as an industrial plumber for 40 years. So I know what preventive maintenance is, and it's really a must. And you've got a lot of money invested in these trucks, and you use them every day for one, and I think it's a great idea myself.
That's a prevention.
I agree too, because it's more than an insurance policy on a major investment that we did.
Yep.
On the PM side of it, I didn't know the parts were included in that because I thought that was going to be a little bit out, there a little bit. But if parts are included, that really changes a lot of my opinion on it.
Define the parts included on that. So is that, obviously for part brakes, it's not going to include that.
So all the filters and things that are part of a PM service are included. Yeah.
So the oil filters, air filters, and
Filters, fuel filters on your, we've got, I think it's got DEF filters, whatever the M2 requirements are for the chassis, all of those are included.
Does that include the regen filter?
No, I don't think it includes a regen. You mean the DPF? No, the DPF is not a, that's a repair. So you'd go through and you're going to push my limit of understanding on this trucks, but I think you can have it rebuilt or like a cleaning, a deep cleaning on it.
Wanted to ask, I like to set expectations up front.
Yep, understood.
Are there basic things that we do or can still do here, or everything is done by the service
It
agreement?
still requires a daily walk around, and there are areas of lubrication that should get it every I think it's 10 hours or so. So I'll give you a grease gun and grease, and it is the best thing you can do, is keep up with that stuff as much as possible.
When we bought the trucks, we did a walk around with all the grease points and
Yeah.
showing them exactly
Okay.
when grease, how often grease.
Yeah, and just being it is a DOT vehicle, you should be doing a daily walk around, making sure that all of your tires, the DOT walk around is completed. Yes, ma'am.
You know, because I've dealt with sending trucks off to DOT inspections. You know, we could be running into a lot, not downgrading the people we have, but we don't have anybody specialized in hydraulics and pneumatics and, you know, some of the new functions, all the, you know, electronics, almost, they know for these trucks. And I would think that it's be the best investment we can make on these trucks. My opinion. Rosemary, do we need more than one quote?
We should. I don't know if anybody would be offering the same kind of service that we would get from the manufacturer that built and sold us the truck.
I mean, if we can go by one,
We can.
said I wouldn't do it, but I'm gonna make a motion to approve it.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can send that grease to Brad.
Grease to bed.
Thanks for coming down.
Cheers, thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Okay. The next thing is, I sent you a quote. This was a quote for meter clocks. At the last meeting, we bought meter bodies, about 700 of them, 750 altogether. Some of them were complete meters, but I think about 600, and I think we decided we needed about 600 clocks. And the kits, the wiring kits, to make those bodies a whole part that we need to install them. So this is the cost of the other materials. I will say that I don't have with me what we okayed last time, but I think it was, yeah, I just don't have it. But I think with this quote, we'll have saved about $15,000 of what it costs us to buy a whole meter if we would have bought this number of meters. So I'm asking you to approve the purchase of these 600 clocks so that we can put those bodies and clocks together and go install those.
Brad, is all 600 gonna be delivered at one time, or are they gonna deliver in increments, or how is this?
Normally, I would think we would probably get them all at once.
Okay.
Depending on availability, we may get, a partial shipment or something, but we're about out of meters, so it'll be nice to get these and then give the guys something.
This will be about a year to take on?
Yeah, probably about, unless we put on a big push. Usually if it's just, guys finding time to put in a few meters here and there, they get about 50 a month or something.
Motion to approve the request.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Next, I was going to ask you to approve a new trash customer at 1902 Virginia Avenue.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
At the last meeting, I asked you to approve some plow and salt box quotes. The salt box quotes were pretty straightforward, but shortly after the meeting, I got a new quote, which was a lot cheaper, but what was more definitive was we got some new information that the quotes that we had approved were for a little lesser grade of plow as far as the metal that makes it up. And this quote here is cheaper, and it's the higher grade build of Boss plow. So I hope that you will approve this quote. It'll save us about, I think, about $1,000 on the two. And don't forget, the plow that we're buying for the utilities will be reimbursed through the insurance for the fire that we had at the wastewater plant.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign.
I sent you a copy of my annual ADA Title VI report for 2022. I had to go ahead and get this updated for the year because we needed it as part of application to NDOT that I think we spoke about last meeting. So it just talks about the different things that I did over the last year and that others did. Most of it's pretty straightforward from year to year. I usually attend a training. This year I wasn't able to go to French Lick because I was somewhere, Texas, I think. So I did a virtual meeting of the annual ADA Coordinators Association meeting. We watched some videos and we do some extra training. I probably watched 3 or 4 webinars over the year in different areas of training about Title VI issues. So I think the one thing that we did, we wrapped up, we had a probably the most major ADA complaint that we've had since I've been doing this for 5 or 6 years, and we were able to bring that to a successful conclusion early in 2022. So if you have any questions about my ADA report. Do you have any of those pictures ready, Justin?
For which one?
Well, I've got pictures of those salt boxes that we bought at the last meeting that I was just going to show you what we were talking about and looking at. That's the salt box on the flatbed. There you go. That's the flatbed at the street department, so you can see it's a pretty big size box. That truck was just of no use to us at all since we had bought it as far as plowing or salting. So this is a utility truck, and that's the new plow that will replace the one. No, that's the new salt box on our utility truck. We had a really small one before that we're going to use on the UTV over the street department in the future. There's your piece of equipment that we looked at while we were up there. This is a piece of equipment that Brian had asked me to look at and think about for the future that plows and salts and sweeps and does all kinds of different stuff. It's pretty neat. Luke got a price on it and said it was $13,000 with 16 with the box, and I thought that sounded a little low, so I think there was doesn't that sound a lot low to you? I thought that was a little low, so there may have been a misunderstanding, but if we can get that with a plow and a salt box on it for $16,000, we maybe better hurry up and go get it. But I'll get more information, but I just wanted to show you, we looked into that. Did you have the pictures of the trestle signs?
Yeah.
I hadn't really reported to you guys, but I was just gonna tell you a little bit about what we've been doing about the problem with the trestle. I'm not gonna brag and say that it's been a while,
You shouldn't have
or
just,
tell you how many days it's been.
shouldn't have said anything.
I'm not going any further than that. But one of the things that we've been doing is looking into some increased signage. And that picture that was just up there was, will you go back to that other one just a second? I had somebody price this sign, and you can see it's a big one. And those are, if we have somebody build them and install them, they're about $2,000. As you can see, they're about this big. But show that other picture up with the trestle up there, please. I think I just saw you go. There you go. Now, this is a Photoshop picture that somebody made for me, so, but it just shows you it gives you an idea of what those signs might look like if we had some there in that block.
What shows the trestle is yellow, is that?
That's what I was gonna say.
That
Trestle with yellow would be a whole
We were told we
different
can't do
story.
that.
Yeah, so far, we haven't had any luck there, but we still hope to sometime. But I was just gonna tell you real quick, what we've done so far, we cut down a tree at the trestle. We cut down a tree last week in front of the state road sign that tells you to turn at 11th Street that had been blocked over the summer. The lady that lives there gave us permission to cut that tree down. She didn't mind at all. We put the bright lights that shine on the trestle at night.
That's noticeable.
yeah.
That's noticeable.
I've been working to formulate a cost of, a lot of people say, well, just take the road lower underneath the trestle. So I've been working on getting a cost for that. And a cost just to take the road out, lower the road and build a new base under that, not counting about 80 things you'd have to do, was $130,000. That doesn't include the reinforcement you would have to do on the bridge going there, and just a lot of different, you'd have to put sidewalls on it. You'd have to probably put a lift station in to pump the water that would accumulate in there. But I'm just wanted to give people an idea of what kind of cost you would have. That could be probably a $300,000 or $400,000 project, I would imagine, if we did that. We are working with NDOT to remove, if you notice, there's about 100 signs in about a 2-block area. I'm exaggerating a little, but not by a lot. And they're going to take some of those out, like the ones that point at the crosswalks are not mandatory to be there. There's 6 or 8 of those. There are so many signs in an area that it's just so busy that I think people, and in some cases, one sign is blocking another one, and you can't even see it. So they have agreed to take those signs out for us. I don't know if they're out yet or not, but they will be soon. We've been engaging with NDOT about solutions. We've engaged with CSX and now have heard something from them
Finally.
that'll lead to a meeting that might lead to painting the bridge or doing something to it. And I've even been engaging, I don't know, you hear me talk about Rushville a lot, but our partners over at Rushville, whenever they see we're having a problem with something, sometimes they'll reach out and offer suggestions, and they suggested a company that did some work for them that is looking at, what we could do there with signage and those kind of things. So I just wanted to let everybody know we are working on this problem. We've talked about it quite a bit, and maybe if we get real lucky, we'll make some headway with that. What else did I send you? I got a couple more pictures of something.
On that, I know you talked about lowering the road as one cost estimate. We also had a cost estimate on Western Avenue finally. We were guessing between 8 and 10 million. That was just us sitting on the computer, square footage and kind of thing, I guess. We got Butler Fairman to look at that. And they put more of a fine pencil to it, because there's more, it's got to be there with right of way and everything, the railroad. And they are projecting $18-20 million to move that to Western Avenue to make it a viable truck route. And that's not including everything, because if you're doing that big of a project, now you got utilities below, you might want to replace what you got it all dug up. So that adds another, Brad, $4 million, we think? So it could be a $24 million project. So that's a big undertaking, and it would be very expensive, which is what we were afraid of in the beginning when we first engaged the state. So.
This is a picture of I just wanted to sort of tell you, we have a really leaky water main up on 25th Street. And years ago, there was a new main put on that street, but some of the houses on the north side of 25th Street were not switched over to that. So one by one, we have a company coming in that's gonna bore those under the road so we don't have to dig them all. And then we're gonna replace the service lines and tie those new houses onto the new main, and then we can kill that old main that keeps leaking up there all the time. We had a really bad leak up there last year, and there's still a place in the road that needs to be fixed, but we were waiting so that we could fix all once they're finished, make sure we don't have to dig anything up there, and then we'll fix the road. So I just sort of reporting to you. If you see somebody out there working, you'll know what that is all about. And I think the last thing, went to the park board last Monday and asked them to close Smalley's. It's now been closed. The signs were hung down there by the parks guys last week, and I had asked for that just to be closed and stay closed till we get done with the dewatering portion of our project, which should be well into next summer. So,
Can you repeat the estimated closure date of the park and how long that will be of Roberts Park? Didn't you say that was going to have to be closed during that too?
no, just Smalley's.
Just small.
Just down at Smalley's.
Didn't we talk about Roberts Park being closed at some point?
No.
Oh, I misunderstood that. Okay, good. Well,
So
that's good.
we're just, so Smalley's will be closed probably, could be up to most of next season before we get finished over there. If we get lucky and the dewatering goes well and quickly, then maybe I'll be able to open late summer. So,
2023.
yeah. And those guys are down there working today for the first time in about 3 months. So we've got our permit from IDEM that allows us to start to dewater and finally starting to move forward. So,
Just a question, are we pumping the water to the river? Okay.
yeah. So, I mean, I'll quickly give the quick version. We're going to put a monitoring well over on the north side of the lake. We have some other monitoring wells we'll be checking periodically to, if it turns out that we start moving chemicals towards us, there will be an extraction well that will be installed that will take those chemicals out of the ground and pump them over into the wastewater plant for treatment. So I think we have a pretty good plan. IDEM endorsed it. And they thought our ideas will work, so that way we can keep everybody safe and not be putting anything in the river that's worrisome. Any questions?
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Hey, we went down to old business. Is there any old business? Miscellaneous business. Payroll.
Claims?
Claims, sorry. I read the last word.
That's all right. The city claims for December 5th is $109,252.27. Payroll, $572,973.67. Utilities, $312,933.23.
Motion to approve claims.
So moved.
Second?
Motion is second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Anybody from the public, anything? None back there, Clint? Okay. Take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Have a good evening.